Hey guys, Dr. Brown here, and tonight we're integrating secant squared x over the square root of 5 minus secant squared x dx. Now you know, for example, sine and cosine, they're big buddies. Here, the big buddy of secant is tangent. So let's see if we can convert. I'm going to convert this tangent here, or secant squared, into tangent squared, because I end up with a plus 1, and that's going to subtract from that 5. So that's my logic here. All right, so I have the integral of secant squared x over the square root of 5 minus the parentheses of tangent squared x plus 1. Now, it's just changing that secant squared to tangent squared x plus 1. I'm going to distribute the negative to the inside. So that gives me 5 minus 1, which is 4, minus tangent squared. I'll just do that here. 4 minus tangent squared x. Hey, what does that form look like? It looks like sine, like 1 minus sine squared. So let's do that. All right, so we have a squared equals 4, a equals 2. We're going to let tangent x equal a sine theta. It may seem a little odd. I know it did to me the first time I worked one like this. Just look at the form. Don't get hung up that it's a tangent, other than you have to put it here. So now let's take the derivative of that. Derivative of tangent x is secant squared x dx, and that equals a cosine theta d theta. So dx equals a cosine theta over secant squared x d theta. Hey, so let's think about how this is going to work out here. Secant squared x, I still have, over the square root of the 4 now is a squared, minus tangent squared, which would be a squared sine squared theta. Now keep in mind, we've gone from the x world to the theta world. That's why this, again, the first time I ever saw this, I was like, whoa, wait. My hair would catch on fire. All right, let's just keep plugging along. So now we have a dx. Well, that equals a cosine theta d theta over secant squared x. Ooh, yeah, those cancel. Okay, so now I have the integral of a cosine theta d theta over the square root of, I'm going to factor out the a squared, 1 minus sine square theta. Okay, so square root of a squared is a divided by a. Those cancel. 1 minus sine square is cosine squared. The square root of cosine squared is cosine. These all cancel, so I'm left with this big integral of the integral of d theta. What is that? Well, that's theta. So now theta would be sine inverse of tangent x over a. A was 2 plus c. And that, my friend, is the integral of secant squared x over the square root of 5 minus secant squared x. I would encourage you to take the derivative of that and see if you get this guy. You will. Okay, that's all for now. Keep studying. Why are we doing this? I say it every video. We're trying to build a better tomorrow through math. We're trying to do that together. Together, let's build a better tomorrow through math. Okay? Keep studying. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks.